Chapter 61. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Half an hour later, everyone searched the villa inside and out, but found nothing. Captain Jones looked at Locke questioningly and shook his head. Nothing was found. Anna Davis was not frustrated, because she had just been observing Elvin Marcus and found some clues. Although this man kept shouting, he was indeed timid and looked guilty. She looked at Locke, whose face was still calm. Take us to where you found them. Locke took everyone to the back garden according to the three-dimensional map memory in the afternoon and whispered, "It's here." Elvin Marcus's face changed instantly, and then Captain Jones and the others also found his abnormality. Captain Jones said loudly, "Next is here, continue to search carefully, and don't miss any place." The lights in the villa were turned on, and everyone took out flashlights. Locke led David directly to the tool room. After turning on the lights, they knocked around. David asked, "What is going on?" Locke repeated the fabricated scene. There was no other way. He could only maintain this statement now and see how to make up for the rest later. Dong. Dong. According to his memory, Locke stood on the carpet in the middle of the tool room and stepped on it twice. He immediately found that the sound was wrong. After lifting the carpet, the entrance to the basement appeared in front of him. He shouted loudly, "Captain, we found a basement." Soon, everyone rushed in. Anna Davis and Captain Jones came in to confirm and drove some people out. The two walked to Elvin Marcus together. Captain Jones said, "Mr. Marcus, please hand over the key to this basement." Elvin Marcus' face was pale. If it weren't for the two policemen holding him, he would have collapsed to the ground. He trembled his lips. "I want to see my lawyer." Anna Davis and Captain Jones looked at each other tacitly. Elvin Marcus looked like this, so what Locke saw was basically true, and he was completely relieved. Captain Jones returned to the tool room with a gloomy face and ordered, "Open the basement door." Randy got there first before Locke could make a move. He lay on the ground and struggled for a few minutes. With a click, the entrance door was opened. Locke was speechless. This was probably only at the level of L0, but it seemed that all black people had this unique skill. After the door was opened, there was a staircase going down inside. It was a bit narrow, and there was an iron door below, so Randy and Elsa went down. Randy opened the door, and Elsa stood guard with a gun behind her. Soon Randy opened the door below again. The light came out instantly, and a woman's scream was heard. Randy screamed, "What a gift! LAPD, we are here to rescue you, you are saved." Amid the women's crying, Elsa also reported loudly, "We found two female victims, naked, in need of blankets, and need female police officers to support." Soon, Superintendent Mona took another female police officer down, and Captain Jones patted Locke's shoulder vigorously and praised, "Locke, well done." After a while, two terrified women were escorted out by Superintendent Mona and Elsa, wearing blankets. They all had chokers around their necks, and Locke made up the dog-crawling women with this thing. When the two women saw Elvin Marcus, they were so scared that they hid behind Mona and Elsa. Locke hurriedly suggested that Elvin Marcus be escorted back to the police station first. In fact, he didn't want Elvin Marcus to be here, otherwise, he couldn't say anything nonsense. Anna Davis agreed and immediately arranged for Randy and Teddy to escort Elvin Marcus back to the police station. Anna Davis led Locke to the two victims and comforted them. "The ambulance will be here soon. This is Officer Locke." "It's him." She found that Locke looked different and asked hurriedly, "What's wrong?" Locke's face was uncertain and confused. He led Anna Davis to him and said in disbelief, "They are not the woman I saw in the afternoon." "What?" Anna Davis's expression froze and she immediately called Captain Jones. She asked, "Richard, are there other victims in the basement?" Captain Jones looked at Locke in confusion and shook his head. "There are only two victims. We have confirmed with the victims that there are no other victims. The forensic department and the ambulance are on the way," Anna Davis said in a deep voice. Locke said that the woman he saw in the afternoon was not these two victims. Captain Jones lost his voice and said, "That means their area victim." At this time, Superintendent Mona came over, looked at Locke suspiciously, and reported, "I showed them the photo of Erwin Marcus, and they said that the person who abused them has always been Erwin Marcus, and there is no one else." Captain Jones was confused and stared at Locke. What is going on? Anna Davis was also startled, and looked at Locke inquiringly. Facing the questioning eyes of the three people, Locke remained silent. There was no trace of guilt on his face, but he looked very confused. His brain was working frantically, thinking about the response plan. This time, he was definitely doing good things but doing bad things, and he even got himself involved. Lies will never come true. Why did he make up such a lie when he was hot-headed? A lie often requires countless lies to make up for it. Locke stared absent-mindedly at the lawn where the body was buried. The turf of Erwin Marshall's house was trimmed regularly and neatly. This time, he couldn't use the long grass on the grave to lead to the burial site. The body should have been buried for a long time, and there was no trace of digging and burying on the turf. It would be a problem to point out the burial site later. Locke's mind suddenly flashed, damn, since he couldn't make up any more, then there was no need to make up. He had had enough. What's the point of making up? Just give it to the dead. Anyway, the dead can't talk. Locke had a plan in his mind instantly. He glanced at the three people and said gloomily, Captain, can I go out and take a look? He pointed to the wall on the right side of the backyard. I was lying there observing in the afternoon. I want to go over to confirm one thing. Anna Davis and Captain Jones looked at each other, both a little surprised and doubtful. Now the case is real. If there is a problem with Locke's confession, it will be troublesome. Anna Davis pondered for a while and called David. David, you go with Locke. Captain Jones also said, I will talk to the two victims again. Soon, Locke led David to the wall outside the villa. He observed the terrain and looked for a suitable observation point. He wanted to fill the loophole here. David asked, what's the situation? Locke frowned and wondered. The two rescued female victims were not the ones I saw in the afternoon, and the man was not Elvin Marshall. I now doubt whether I saw it wrong. David blurted out, are there other suspects and victims? Chapter 62. You are listening at novelfull.audio. We need to investigate this. I climbed up from here. Locke pointed to the courtyard wall. While David was not paying attention, he jumped lightly and grabbed the wall. He exerted force on his hands and lay on it. He took the opportunity to rub his feet on the wall several times, leaving enough footprints. Fortunately, he was still wearing the shoes he wore in the afternoon. The courtyard wall was more than 3 meters high. It was a high wall and a large courtyard. Most people might not be able to climb it, but it was not difficult for Locke. When he played rugby, he could touch 3.3 meters by jumping on the spot. Now his strength and speed have each added an attribute point, and his jumping ability has been improved to a higher level. Locke lay on the courtyard wall and looked inside. He quickly constructed a plot picture in his mind to further improve his fabricated plot. In the yard, Anna Davis and Captain Jones were talking about something, and their expressions were a little serious. The tool room had been blocked, waiting for the forensic department to come and collect evidence. The two victims were also taken away by ambulance. David raised the flashlight to illuminate Locke and asked, are you done? Locke let go and jumped down, and asked seriously, David, do you believe there are ghosts in this world? David scolded, don't tell me these messed up things, what's going on? Locke said expressionlessly, I think I may have encountered a ghost, otherwise it doesn't make sense at all. David gave him a middle finger and said unhappily, yes, a naked female ghost. When Locke and David returned to the backyard, Captain Jones couldn't wait to ask, how is it? Do you remember anything? David said speechlessly, this kid thinks he encountered a ghost. Under the cold eyes of Anna Davis and Captain Jones, Locke once again described the scene he saw, this time in more detail and vividly, the man's standing position, the woman's crawling position, the crawling direction. Fortunately, Locke Lee has watched many movies of this type, so he has enough image data in his mind. He spread his hands and said, I'm sure I saw something, but that man is not Elvin Marcus, and the women are not two victims. It doesn't make sense at all. There is only one reason. I saw a ghost. Anna Davis stared at Locke with a gloomy face, a little angry at his unreliability at the moment. Do you think you can say this to the judge? The American judicial system has high requirements for confessions. Now that Locke's confession has such a big loophole, Alvin Marcus's lawyer will definitely take advantage of it and hold on tightly. If the police's confession has loopholes, Alvin Marcus may escape legal sanctions. The famous Simpson murder case was overturned because of a problem with the police's physical evidence. Captain Jones started to curse directly. "Locke, what nonsense are you talking about?" Wait, seeing that the two bosses were staring at him with a bad face, Locke pretended to be desperate. "You don't believe it, right? Then I'll prove it to you. I remember that woman seemed to be very afraid of this place. I want to see what's here." As he said that, he went to the tool room to get a shovel and started digging the soil. Anna Davis wanted to scold Locke, but seeing his appearance, she was a little worried and asked David, "What did you say outside just now?" David also stared at Locke, who was digging the soil in a daze, thinking that he was a little weird. He said hesitantly, "He asked me if I believe in ghosts." Anna Davis was speechless for a while, turned his head to look at Captain Jones, and signaled Captain Jones to stop. "Locke, fuck." Locke suddenly threw away the shovel, looked too frightened, and took several steps back. He turned his head and looked at everyone, and said in a trembling voice, "There is really a body down here. That woman wanted to tell me there is a body here. Fuck, it's really a ghost." Everyone was already frightened by Locke's scream, and when they heard his words, they just felt cold all over and their hair stood on end. Captain Jones hurried forward to check and found real bones. He turned his head and said in a deep voice, "It is indeed a corpse. It seems that it is not just illegal detention. I will notify the forensic doctor immediately." Anna Davis's expression became more and more solemn. She walked to Locke and whispered, "Locke, what is going on?" Locke looked dazed, scratched his hair speechlessly, and frowned. "I don't know what's going on. It doesn't make sense unless it is guided by ghosts. Is it an illusion that I saw in the afternoon?" He turned his head to look at David. "Did I really meet a ghost?" Anna Davis looked at Locke worriedly and ordered David, "Please send Locke home. He may be too tired." Locke sat in the co-pilot seat of the G-55, pretending to be in shock, which made David throw his head from time to time. The concerned look almost made him unable to pretend. After his operation, Anna Davis and Captain Jones should think carefully about whether to use his confession. It is very likely that they will not use it. After all, his ghost story cannot be brought to court. As for how to explain why LAPD suddenly wants to search Erwin Marcus's house, I believe Anna Davis can find an excuse. Locke pretended for a long time, turned his head and asked David, "Do you believe?" David directly swore, "Shut up, don't talk to me about this topic again." Locke turned his head to look out the window, and after his smile was retracted, he murmured, "Otherwise it doesn't make sense. When the bodies are dug out, I must identify whether they are the two people I saw." David looked a little unnatural. "So there are two bodies buried there?" 2. 5. Big brother. Sure enough, people who have been single for a long time are prone to perversion. Erwin Marcus has been divorced for 15 years, this dog day. Locke suddenly discovered another bug. According to his ghost, the man and woman he saw were both ghosts. There should be a male corpse among the 5 corpses to make sense, but it is more likely that all 5 corpses are female, unless Alvin Marcus once imprisoned a man for fun. Forget it, never mind, there are bugs. Anyway, no matter who asks him in the future, he will say that he encountered a ghost. Seeing Locke's changing expression, David couldn't help but say, "Parker Center once encountered a very strange thing. Ask your Emma or Emily later, they should know." According to David's story, Parker Center once received a call for help. Someone said that they were trapped on a cliff by the sea, so the emergency rescue center sent people to rescue them. Unexpectedly, when they arrived at the cliff, they found only a corpse there, and a mobile phone that had run out of power. David said seriously, "Through forensic examination, the corpse has been dead for 7 years. Later, I listened to the recording of the call for help and found that there was only the operator's voice, and the operator was always talking to himself." Locke looked at David in horror. "Brother, I was fake, you actually played it for real." Chapter 63. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was almost 11 o'clock when they returned to Beverly Hills. Locke asked David to drive the G55 back directly and drive it to the Wilshire police station tomorrow. David rolled down the car window and called Locke, "Boy, if you are really uneasy, you can go to church tomorrow." After Locke got out of the car, he thought the show was over. Hearing David's words, he had to put on a gloomy face again and turned his head and replied, "I will," David said again, "don't think too much. They are willing to find you, which means you are a righteous person." Locke watched David leave, feeling a little guilty in his heart. "Sorry, David, I didn't mean to lie to you. I am not a righteous person either." Locke sighed lightly, turned around and walked towards the yard. Seeing that the lights in the living room were still on, he guessed something and felt warm in his heart. He opened the door and found that Marion was waiting for him. She was wearing gold-rimmed myopic glasses and a burgundy robe, and she was lying on the sofa elegantly reading a book. Seeing Locke coming back, Marion sat up, closed the book, straightened her pajamas, stared at him expressionlessly, and said indifferently, "Hey, our LAPD hero is finally back." Locke's heart quickly turned from warm to cold, and he smiled bitterly, knowing that Marion was fussing about him hiding the fact that he rescued Anna Davis in the afternoon. He had seen Marion's pettiness more than once. He smiled and said, "Mary, can I take a shower first?" Mary waved her hand with disgust and said, "Go away, you stink. Come down after taking a shower and tell me the truth." Locke said shamelessly, "Mary, after taking a shower, can I have a bowl of tomato and egg noodles?" She knew that this was the Chinese food that Marion was best at, and she was always proud of it. Marion snorted coldly, "You hid everything from me, and you still want me to make you a midnight snack. Dream on." Locke looked frustrated. "Okay." After Locke went up, Marion got up slowly and walked towards the kitchen, muttering, "This brat looks pretty handsome in a police uniform. No wonder he can charm so many women. I hope what he said last time was true." Suddenly, she looked at the tomatoes and eggs in her hand with a puzzled look. Didn't Locke dislike tomato and egg noodles before? 20 minutes later, Locke sat at the dining table in his home t-shirt and shorts, looking at the tomato and egg noodles in front of him with gratitude, and even put chopped green onions, which was too exquisite. Marion asked curiously, "Didn't you never eat this noodle before?" Locke was stunned for a moment, and said embarrassedly, "I just don't want to like the same food as Todd. In fact, I like this sour taste very much. Of course, your father said that the tomato and egg noodles I cook are almost the same as those made by the Chinese." The novel was taken from the Rawlers website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. Marion smiled helplessly. This bastard boy was too stubborn. In order to compete with Li Bo, he actually resisted this delicacy for more than 10 years, she said with a restrained expression. "Okay, you can say it. If you keep hiding it, don't think about me cooking tomato and egg noodles for you anymore." Locke looked at Marion's arrogant look and almost sprayed. "In China, 10-year-old children can cook tomato and egg noodles. But don't say it, Marion's tomato and egg noodles are really not inferior to the taste of the one in her memory that she can no longer remember, and even her face has become blurred." Locke smiled knowingly and asked, "Marianne, when can you teach me how to make tomato and egg noodles?" Marianne looked proud and shrugged, "I think you should ask your father, he should be happy to teach you." "Okay." Locke looked expectant, thinking that he should have made Marianne happy, and then he began to talk about what happened in the afternoon. Except for hiding the detection card, he said everything else that could be said. As for how to find the villa where Anna Davis and Nathan were hiding, he pushed the blame on the sentry gunman, saying that he found this person. Marianne had been listening seriously, and when Locke spoke, her face became ugly, and she said in a cold voice, "From childhood to adulthood, you have always been like this, careless, doing things without considering the consequences, and like to be a hero. Why don't you wait for support? You are just a rookie who has joined LAPD for less than a year, and the other party is a terrorist." Listening to Marianne's reprimand, Locke subconsciously shrank his head and felt the suppression of his blood. "I couldn't help but secretly feel lucky that I didn't tell Marion that the gunman of the Copernicus organization was a retired American Special Forces soldier, otherwise Marion might have taken action directly." He explained, "My shooting skills have improved a lot recently, as if I have opened my eyes. I feel that the shooting gene from Jester in my body has awakened. Marion snorted coldly, but still said, Jester should be very happy to hear this news, so this weekend, let me see your shooting skills. The three siblings of the Locke family were asked by Jester Locke to practice shooting since they were young. Marion's shooting skills ranked first among the three siblings, and she perfectly inherited the shooting talent from Jester. Locke's shooting skills were just average before, which made Jester very dissatisfied and blamed Lebo. Locke gave himself a thumbs up in his heart and finally got around this matter. He said confidently, I am not afraid of any challenge now. Marion looked as if she had seen through his little thoughts. She did not continue to scold him, but was a little worried and asked, Locke, are you really okay? Locke was stunned for a moment, and immediately reacted that Marion was asking him about his psychological problems after killing 5 people. He almost forgot about this matter, and naturally there was no fluctuation in his heart, but he obviously couldn't answer like this. He organized his words and replied seriously, No, I have prepared myself psychologically. They are terrorists who are preparing to plan a terrorist attack in Los Angeles and kidnapped Anna and Nathan. If I don't kill them, my colleagues may be injured or killed, and Los Angeles will also suffer a terrorist attack. Marion thought of the scene in the afternoon when Locke accompanied her to cook, and found that he was indeed not affected by the killing, so she breathed a sigh of relief. But she was worried that he would become a cold-blooded killing machine. After all, this kid has killed a lot of people in the past few days. Well, Locke has always been cheerful, enthusiastic, and helpful. Although he liked to fight in the past, he was not a violent person. How could he become a bloodthirsty person? He just wanted to protect Los Angeles and his colleagues. Marion soon became logically consistent and stopped worrying about this matter. She began to criticize Locke for killing people during administrative leave. Although she knew that Anna Davis had settled the matter, she was still very angry. She was a lawyer. The son of a lawyer actually did such an idiotic thing. She poked Locke's head with her finger and said angrily, Can't you grow a little brain? Do you know how serious this matter is? During the administrative leave, you have no law enforcement power, and the unlimited right of self-defense of citizens is invalid because you took the initiative to break into the villa. Even if you saved someone, the prosecutors will definitely prosecute you. Forget being a police officer. You might even go to jail. Locke also realized that he had made a series of stupid moves today and felt that his IQ was a bit low. He said seriously, Marion, I'm sorry, I will never make this mistake again next time. Seeing that Locke was really reflecting on himself, Marion couldn't help but smile with relief and asked, What about the case tonight? Chapter 64. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Locke hesitated and asked, Marianne, do you believe in ghosts? Half an hour later, Marianne stared at Locke with a pale face. Seeing that the boy looked calm, she said angrily, Wash your dishes before going to bed. Don't expect me to wash them for you tomorrow. Locke watched Marianne go upstairs with a smile. He just told not only the ghost story he made up, but also the story of David's ghost call from the dispatch center. After a while, Hannah's voice came from upstairs, Marianne, why did you come to my room? Marianne replied, Sweetheart, I haven't held you to sleep for a long time. But, I don't need you to tell me the story of Snow White anymore. Then we can discuss why you like Supreme. Locke laughed with a chuckle. He didn't expect that Marianne, who always had a strong aura, had such a side. She was actually afraid of ghosts. He picked up the plate, walked to the kitchen faucet, rinsed the plate, and his expression slowly restrained a cold look. After a while, Locke also went upstairs to his room. He lay on the bed and began to reflect on the series of dementia he had today. He does have a decisive side in his character, but in a scene like today, according to his character, he shouldn't be so high-profile and kill 4 retired Special Forces soldiers in a row. A police officer with average shooting skills during training has become so powerful after joining the LAPD for half a year. It is hard not to be famous and will definitely attract attention. This is completely inconsistent with his character of seeking stability and hiding as much as possible. Although this matter was concealed by the top management of the LAPD, for some departments, as long as they want to know, it is not a secret at all. The hiding place of Anna and Nathan has been discovered. The best way is to wait for support and let SWAT attack and rescue the hostages, rather than being a lone hero without law enforcement power and getting himself into trouble. At that time, he didn't seem to think so much at all. His mind was full of solving this matter personally, and he felt that this matter was not difficult, and he took the initiative to mention the illegal detention of Villa F-10-09 to Anna Davis at night, which was also too rough. Will Alvin Marcus be stimulated to kill the two victims? Does he really care? Even if he wants to reveal this matter, there are other more reliable ways, rather than making up a story full of loopholes like tonight, which will lead to a direct crash later. What went wrong? Locke frowned and thought deeply. Soon, he found the problem. The biggest variable today was that he used the detection card. Locke recalled the scene when he used the detection card. With the blessing of the detection card, he was always in the perspective of God. He could see through a radius of 50 meters, which made him feel that he was omnipotent. It is true. With the detection card, he killed Sam Brown and his 5 people like killing chickens. If there was no detection card, he would not be able to solve Sam Brown and his gang so easily. Locke sat up suddenly, his expression suddenly changed. The casual talk at night was also related to the detection card. With the detection card, he found that others could not find things, and he had a sense of superiority in his heart, which led to an imbalance of mentality. He did not suppress this sense of superiority very well, so he casually told Anna Davis about the illegal detention in Villa F-10-09, which was also caused by his inner superiority. The function of the detection card is simply extraordinary. Fortunately, it is only 30 minutes. If it is permanent, Locke really doesn't know if he can still maintain his mentality. A sentence suddenly flashed through Locke's mind: the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, and the mentality is too damn important. When the golden finger comes, not everyone can control this ability. Locke sighed, and a firm light flashed in his eyes. Now that the problem has been found, this problem should no longer be a problem. The system will always be a tool for him. His mind moved, and the panel flashed. Next, it is time to check the harvest. Host, Rock Lee, level, 1. Strength, 10, human peak 20, speed, 10, human peak 20, endurance, 9, human peak 20, spirit, 11, human peak 20, skills mastered, pistol, L3 master, rifle, L2 mastery, mixed martial arts, L3 master, car driving, L4 mastery, rugby, L2 mastery, mating, L3 master, swimming, L3 master, housekeeping, L3 master, traceology, L3 master, makeup, L3 master, forensic medicine, L3 master, sketching, L3 master, microexpression. Analysis, L2 proficiency, chemistry, L2 proficiency, biology, L2 proficiency, toxicology, L2 proficiency, art appreciation, L2 proficiency, computers, L2 proficiency, cooking, L2 proficiency, lock picking, L2 proficiency, lip reading, L2 proficiency, psychological profiling, L1 proficiency, talented skills, language master, L1 awakening. Justice value, 1350, plus 800, attribute points, 1. Card holding, experience card, makeup, 5 years of experience, pistol, 5 years of experience. Rifle, 5 years of experience, mixed martial arts, 5 years of experience, mating, 5 years of experience, function card, bullet avoidance card, storage card, learning card, diving, 5 years of experience, Arabic, 5 years of experience, training, 5 years of experience. Locke stared at the panel, his heartbeat accelerated. He thought that this time the harvest would be great, but he didn't expect it to be such a big harvest. This time the reward is second only to Henry Morgan's last time. As for upgrading, Locke was already familiar with it, and he directly used all the experience cards: pistol, L3 master, pistol, L3 master, rifle, L2 proficiency, rifle, L3 master. Mixed martial arts, L3 master, mixed martial arts, L3 master, mating, L3 master, mating, L3 master, makeup, L3 master, makeup, L3 master. Looking at the panel, Locke felt that he had upgraded alone this time, and basically there was no change. Only the rifle L2 was upgraded to L3, and he was promoted to master. which made up for his shortcoming of long-distance force output. Countless rifle use experience was integrated in his mind. However, Locke didn't quite understand why special forces would reward mating experience. Suddenly, he thought of the rumors in the US military and shuddered. Damn, fortunately, they are all serious experience, not stirring shit. This reward should come from Sam Brown. After all, this guy has a girlfriend, Avna, who is as beautiful as a Hollywood actress. I guess he is also gifted in that aspect. There is also makeup experience. Although American Special Forces can also draw camouflage on their faces, this skill should not be able to become an experience reward. Could it be one of the 5 corpses in the villa of Elvin Marcus? After upgrading the experience card, Locke focused on the attribute point reward. Without thinking, he directly added it to the endurance. Now all attributes have reached 10, endurance upgrade is a completely different experience. It seems that there are changes, and there are no changes. The most intuitive feeling is that he feels more confident and has endless strength, as if he has added a turbo. After adapting to the changes in his body, Locke set his sights on the justice value. The justice value has exceeded 1,000. It is not his style to keep it on the books. It belongs to him to exchange it for attribute points. Exchange, damn, what's going on? Why can't I exchange it? Is it frozen? Locke sat up with a grunt and exchanged it again, but there was still no response. He was a little panicked. No, move a little, I love you. Chapter 65. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Can't you redeem it when it reaches 1,000? Why can't you redeem it? Suddenly, Locke discovered the changes in the panel, and he was stunned for a moment. Damn, all the attributes have been increased. What's going on? This discovery made Locke stunned for a moment, and the whole person froze, as if he was suddenly connected to electricity. His whole body was numb, and he felt a brand new feeling from inside to outside. That feeling was as good as delaying the time of that shiver by more than 10 times. So cool. This is the feeling of adding points to the 4 major attributes at the same time. This surprise came too unexpectedly. Well, he soon found out the reason for the attribute increase. It turned out that the level under the name became 2, so all the attributes were added accordingly. This should also be the reason why the justice value cannot be exchanged. Locke was immediately happy in his heart. It turned out that there was such a benefit to upgrading, but he was stunned after a few seconds of happiness, and felt that he had lost. He realized that he seemed to have made a mistake just now. He should have exchanged the justice value before upgrading, but he didn't know that when the 4 attributes reached 10, the system level would be upgraded, which would lead to a change in the exchange rate. This shitty system, damn. Not only does it have no human-computer interaction system, but it also doesn't have an instruction manual. He needs to explore it bit by bit. It was upgraded unexpectedly. I could have gained 1 more attribute point. Locke took a deep breath. Forget it, don't think about it. What is the justice value exchange rate now? 2,000. It won't become 5,000 all of a sudden, right? He suddenly had an impulse to kill a few drug dealers now and try to increase the justice value to 2,000, but it was just a thought. He had been tossed around enough today, too high profile, and he had to stay alive for a while. Locke lay back down, glanced at the newly obtained learning card, and raised his eyebrows. Isn't diving the same category as swimming? And Arabic, the previous language skills have been integrated into language talent. Will this be included in the skills or language talent after learning? What the hell is training? This reward is most likely from Erwin Marcus, but Erwin Marcus is not dead. How can he reward experience? Forget it, I can't learn it now anyway. Locke's eyes finally fell on the newly acquired function card. After seeing the amazing function of the detection card, he had already raised his expectations for this card. Storage card, is it what he thought? Locke's heart moved, and the storage card flashed immediately. Whether to use it, the panel changed again, and there was another column under the talent skills, equipment, storage box, 1 cubic meter, lying on the grass. It was really what he thought. Locke couldn't wait to look at the Glock G19 on the bedside table. He took the gun in his hand, and his heart moved. The gun in his hand disappeared instantly and appeared in the storage box. He waved his fist vigorously and couldn't help shouting, yes. The gloom that the justice value could not be exchanged before was instantly swept away. This was his biggest gain tonight. Locke was about to get out of bed to vent his excitement when Marion yelled at him from outside the door, "Locke, what's wrong with you?" Locke's smile froze, and he turned around and said, "Sorry, Mom." Then he lifted the quilt, covered himself with the quilt, shrugged and laughed, enjoying his own joy. Since he got the system, this was the thing he wanted most. He thought he didn't have it, but he didn't expect the storage space to appear in the form of a function card. Although it was only 1 cubic meter, it was enough. Besides, maybe it could be upgraded. With this storage box, he will be invincible. With this storage box, he will be able to disguise himself at will and switch his identity as a scavenger at any time. With this storage box, he no longer has to worry about having no place to hide things. This storage box is equivalent to an invisible safe house for him. After that, Locke kept making G19 disappear and appear in his hand, having a lot of fun. Then he tried to store the things in the room, and couldn't help running downstairs to try to store the things in the refrigerator. After testing, it was found that fruits, milk, eggs, fresh vegetables and other things with a short shelf life could not be put in, but purified water could be put in. In other words, this storage space can only hold dead things. Locke was not too disappointed. Nothing is perfect, people should not be too greedy. After calming down, Locke returned to the room and lay back on the bed, thinking that he would put the things hidden in Suzuki Nami's room into the storage box tomorrow. In addition to the bag of money before, the Scar automatic rifle and military dagger he took away this afternoon were also hidden in Suzuki Nami's room. The afternoon was too rushed, and he had no place to deal with these two things, so he just put the hood was burned. So after returning the car, he went back to Grand Apartment. The reason why he lied to Anna that he had dealt with it was that he didn't want to leave any handle in her hands. Relationships are relationships, but the operation of principles must be adhered to. The Scar left ballistic information, which must not be kept. However, the field knife can be kept. It is a high-end product at first glance, and it would be a waste to throw it away. The next morning, Locke got up early and didn't plan to have breakfast at home. He had some insomnia last night, and he couldn't wait to go back to Grand Apartment to put everything into the storage space. He carried the uniform he changed yesterday, left a message for Marion, pushed the door and went out, ready to call an Uber. Unexpectedly, as soon as he left the yard, he saw his G55 parked on the side of the road. Locke was stunned for a moment, walked over, and saw David sitting in the driver's seat watching the news on his mobile phone. He knocked on the car window. David turned his head and took a look, then pushed the door and got out of the car, and walked around to the passenger seat. "Didn't you sleep well last night?" Locke threw his backpack to the back seat and nodded. "Well, I have insomnia." "Why are you here so early? Didn't I ask you to go directly to the police station?" "I guessed that you would have insomnia. It would be strange if you didn't have insomnia when you encountered such a thing." David looked at Locke's haggard face and saw that his eyes were bloodshot. He opened the car door and urged, "Get in the car and take you to a place." Locke got into the driver's seat and started the car. He was a little helpless. It seemed that Grand Apartment could not be visited. Under David's guidance, Locke drove to a church with a typical Gothic style. The church was not big, but it looked magnificent and solemn. It was a building of some years. After getting off the car, David led the way in front and led Locke into the church. The church was holding a service. There were already many believers. The atmosphere was solemn and sacred. Locke had guessed what David wanted to do, and he couldn't help feeling a little moved and a little guilty. This old man suddenly wanted to repay him by becoming his son-in-law. David should have greeted the priest in advance. When the two of them entered, a clergyman led Locke to kneel in front of the statue, and then the priest sprinkled holy water on him. Then a group of believers surrounded him and read the Bible. It's true, I don't know if it was the influence of the ritual or the environment, but it really worked. Locke felt a little more awake, as if he had been washed, and became ethereal and calm, with no distractions in his mind. The whole process lasted for more than 10 minutes. After a chapter was finished, the priest signaled Locke to get up. David also came over at this time, said a few words of thanks to the priest, and left with Locke. After getting in the car, David asked, "How does it feel?" Locke nodded. "Very good, I feel like my soul has been cleansed." Is this considered exorcism? David shrugged, it depends on you. If you are troubled by what happened last night, you can think of it as exorcism, Locke said gratefully. Thank you, David. David gave him a middle finger. Okay, stop being cheesy, drive quickly, I don't want to be late, I will be very busy today, and I have to go see Nathan when I have time. That he turned his head to look at Locke and asked, do you know how many bodies were dug out last night? Locke was speechless in his heart, hoping that the case would be closed soon. He really didn't want to continue acting, and asked, more than 2? David said angrily, 5. Even Catherine was called to work overtime in the middle of the night last night. The case is now taken over by the Detective Bureau. Tom Williams suspects that there are more than 5 dead people. Fuck, I heard that Irwin. Marcus' lawyer is applying for bail for him. What a shitty law, Locke's heart sank. He didn't want to deal with Tom Williams right now. Chapter 66. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as Locke arrived at the police station and changed his clothes, he was notified to meet Anna Davis. Dong. Come in. Locke pushed the door open and walked in. He saw Anna Davis sitting in front of the computer and drinking coffee. Her face was a little haggard, and her eyes were full of bloodshot. It was obvious that she hadn't slept all night. Anna Davis looked up at Locke and pointed to the chair opposite her. Sit down, Locke, how do you feel now? Locke knew what she wanted to ask and replied, I had some insomnia last night. David took me to church this morning. Anna Davis asked with concern, is it effective? Locke shrugged, it seems to be a little bit. In fact, I'm not too afraid of this. Anna Davis looked helpless and still didn't believe Locke's ghost story. She restrained her expression and said, okay, now I have 2 things to tell you. She picked up a document from her hand and handed it to Locke. Something went wrong yesterday, so there is a new remedy. In view of your outstanding personal ability, you will be hired by the Wilshire Police Department to protect me and Nathan during your administrative leave. This is the employment contract. Locke took the contract and looked at it. It was a very common security employment contract. The LAPD did have the power to hire private detectives or security guards to handle some special cases. The date on it was the day before yesterday. The clause specifically mentioned that Locke had the right of self-defense. When the employer was in danger of his life, he could take the initiative to open fire, which was considered to be officially granted the right to open fire. It also specifically mentioned that this contract had confidentiality requirements and should not be made public. He looked at Anna Davis in confusion. If it could be done this way, why did he use another plan last night? Anna Davis took a sip of coffee and replied, the case of the Copernicus organization may be handed over to the FBI or DHS, Department of Homeland Security, so yesterday's plan will not work. No matter which of the 2 departments accepts it, they will definitely investigate yesterday's matter thoroughly in advance, so the senior police officers agreed to re-sign this commission contract to make your actions yesterday legal. Last night's plan was a favor, but today's plan makes everything a legal procedure, which is more beneficial to you. She leaned back and stretched her body without any image. In fact, I also thought about changing the end time of your administrative leave. After all, it's only a few hours, but there are too many departments to coordinate, and the operation is more difficult. After listening to Anna Davis's explanation, Locke immediately signed his name on the contract. Yesterday's plan only sealed what he did in this matter. Now everything is legal and there is no future trouble. Naturally, he likes it more, he said gratefully. Anna, thank you. This is what I should do. I won't let anything happen to you. Anna Davis returned this sentence to Locke. She put away the document signed by Locke and said, you have to be mentally prepared. When this case is closed, you will need to appear in court for questioning. Locke replied, I have no problem. Killing 5 people during administrative leave is not an internal investigation, but a normal judicial procedure, and will definitely go to court. Anna Davis said again, the guns and knives you took away yesterday are all evidence. You must replenish them as soon as possible. Do you remember where you lost them? Do you need to arrange a diver for you? Locke replied without blushing, no, I have good swimming skills and will get it done as soon as possible. Anna Davis naturally guessed some, but didn't say anything. Okay, then you go and make a complete record later. Richard will not arrange a patrol mission for you today. Understood. Locke nodded. She naturally knew what could be written and what could not be written. Anna reminded him to leave with a gun, so naturally he couldn't write these things. Anna Davis breathed a sigh of relief. It was obvious that she was relieved that the matter could be handled in this way. After all, the sealing method still had consequences, which was not conducive to Locke's future development, and she also had hidden dangers. She said, "There is one more thing. Regarding the case of Elvin Marcus, we will not submit your testimony to the prosecution. Your testimony cannot be brought to court." I have no problem. Locke wanted it very much. This was exactly his purpose. He asked curiously, "Then how do we explain the matter of going to Villa F-10-09 with a search warrant?" Anna Davis said calmly, "The police received a tip." Cool. Locke couldn't help laughing. He was an enthusiastic citizen yesterday afternoon, and now he has become an informant of LAPD. At this time, someone knocked on the door. After obtaining permission, Teresa from the detective team pushed the door open. She looked at Locke with sympathy. Captain Tom from the Detective Bureau wants to find Locke to learn about the case of Elvin Marcus." Anna Davis had a headache. "You can tell the truth." Locke was also a little annoyed. "I know what to say." Interrogation room. Locke looked at Tom Williams and Sophia Gaia opposite him with an unhappy face, and said coldly, "So, you treat me as a suspect?" "This is Wilshire." Tom Williams looked at Locke with a cold face. How much he admired Locke before, how much he hated him now. The arrogant rookie actually rejected his invitation, making him a laughing stock of the Detective Bureau. In contrast, Sophia's attitude was much better. She looked at Locke with a smile on her face. She wanted to buy Locke a drink to thank him for making Tom Williams lose face. She pointed to the camera next to her and explained, "Don't get me wrong, the cameras are not on. We just want to find a private space to talk. After all, your experience is too incredible." Locke shrugged. "Okay, ask whatever you want to ask, I'm really busy." Sophia looked at Tom Williams, but seeing that the arrogant man didn't seem to want to speak, she couldn't help but asked, "Locke, please repeat how you found out that there was illegal detention in Villa F-10-09. Locke said, "Captain Davis just informed me that he will not use my confession. After all, my confession is not good for the prosecution, so you just listen to it." He smiled bitterly. "I now doubt whether I am seeing hallucinations." Locke sighed and started telling stories again. Don't say it. The more lies he told, the more fluent he became. He felt that what he said was true. When Locke was telling the story, Tom Williams kept staring at him, trying to interpret his expression, voice, eyes, and body language. Locke would naturally not give this pervert this opportunity. He used all the knowledge of micro-expression analysis and psychological profiling to build up layers of defense for himself. Sophia was not aware of the psychological confrontation between the two. After listening, she said in surprise, "This is really amazing. Is there really a ghost?" Tom Williams stared at Locke and smiled coldly. "Rookie, you really should go to Hollywood. Did you forget that your action cameras recorded everything last night? I have to say that your acting skills are much better now than last night, and the ghost story is more credible." Chapter 67. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Faced with Tom Williams's aggressiveness, Locke was naturally not afraid. He ignored him directly and asked Sophia next to him helplessly, "How can you tolerate him for so long?" Sophia spread her hands and made a helpless gesture. Looking helpless, Locke said in a deep voice, "Captain Tom, you have to understand that if it weren't for my ghost story, the two victims would still be locked up in the basement. I don't know how long the 5 corpses under the grass will be buried there." He sneered. "I heard that Elvin Marcus is applying for bail. Instead of focusing on me, why don't you convict him earlier and send this crazy bastard to prison to pick up soap?" Tom Williams looked cold and frowned, saying, "Officer Locke, what exactly makes you so disrespectful to me?" Locke replied expressionlessly, "Captain Tom, respect is mutual." Tom Williams was silent for 2 seconds, shrugged and said, "Okay, I apologize for my previous surveillance of you. I now invite you to join my team again. Is that sincere enough? You are the first person I invited in person. You are indeed very talented, so you deserve me. Sophia looked at Tom Williams in disbelief. As far as she could remember, he had never apologized to his teammates. Locke was amused by Tom Williams' arrogance and conceit, interrupted Tom Williams and said, "Sorry, I will not join your team." Tom Williams asked puzzledly, "Why?" Smart people should not be swayed by emotions. Locke said seriously, "Because I want to be a better detective than you." Tom Williams was stunned for a moment, looked at Locke in surprise, as if he heard something very funny, shrugged and smiled. "Incense, that's it. Okay, then future detective, what suggestions do you have for this case?" Locke cursed in his heart, and was a little speechless. He said this, but Tom Williams, the psychopath, was not angry enough. He asked, "I heard that you suspect there are other victims." Tom Williams frowned, as if he was dissatisfied with the rapid circulation of internal information in LAPD. He turned his head and glanced at Sophia next to him, wanting her to answer Locke. Sophia was eating melons, and she was very happy. It was the first time she saw someone confront Tom Williams in person. She couldn't wait to spread this famous scene, and she didn't notice the instructions of the boss next to her. Cough, cough. Seeing Sophia staring at Locke like a fangirl, Tom Williams was very unhappy. After coughing twice to wake her up, he asked Locke, "Sophia wants to date you, will you agree?" Locke was stunned, and he couldn't keep up with the thinking of this psychopath. He glanced at Sophia with an embarrassed face and replied, "Sorry, I already have a girlfriend." Tom Williams nodded and said, "Very gentlemanly answer. Tom Williams, don't think that I will be your free driver in the future." Sophia gritted her teeth and said a harsh word, exhaled a long breath, and said to Locke, "Officer Locke, thank you for your cooperation, you can leave." No, Tom Williams interrupted her, "I want to hear the future detective's advice on this case." Locke had no choice but to ask the question again. Sophia replied with a straight face, "Although the forensic autopsy report has not been completed, a rough conclusion has been drawn about the time of death of the bodies. The latest of the 5 bodies was 7 years ago, and the 2 victims in the basement were detained by Alvin Marcus in the past 2 years. Locke understood immediately that there was a 5-year window period in between, and there was a high probability that there were other victims, but Alvin Marcus had other places to deal with the bodies and did not continue to bury them in the yard. He replied without much thought, "Alvin Marcus is the owner of a construction company. I suggest checking the houses built by the construction company during the past 5 years." Tom Williams curled his lips and nodded, "Good." After that, he stood up and left the inquiry room. Sophia looked at Locke in surprise and gave him a thumbs up. "We have sent people to search." She stood up and sorted out the documents. Before leaving, she turned her head and said, "Come on, future detective. Fuck Tom Williams, the bastard." It seems that the police department has suffered from Tom Williams for a long time. In the afternoon, Locke handed the transcript of the rescue process in Villa H-10-06 to Anna Davis. No, to be more precise, it should be his work report as a part-time bodyguard yesterday. After reading it carefully, Anna nodded and said there was no problem. Locke wanted he remembered that he had installed a camera on the Ford Explorer at that time, so he said, "I still have video data. I wanted to look back and find suspicious tracking vehicles." Anna Davis asked, "Can it be used?" Locke thought about it. The video camera was always facing outward, and it only captured him following Anna and Nathan's car, and searching the villa area later, but did not capture the interior of Villa H-10-06. He briefly talked about the video information. His conversation with Captain Jones should also be recorded. With this video, it is more real that he was hired by the police station. Anna Davis said happily, "Perfect. With this video, the chain of evidence is more sufficient. Even if it goes to court, it won't be a big problem," she said. "If you have nothing to do next, go home and rest early." Locke replied, "David and I have an appointment to see Nathan." Anna Davis said hurriedly, "Please say hello to Nathan for me. I will go to see him tomorrow." G55 had just left the Wilshire police station when David asked Locke to take a detour to open air. the most famous dessert shop in Wiltshire, to pick up the dessert he had ordered. This shop is a well-known online celebrity shop in Los Angeles. Even if you make a reservation, you have to queue up for a long time. Seeing David smiling and holding desserts in the car, Locke felt a little sour in his heart, and looked at David in confusion. When did you get so close to Nathan? David looked down at the dessert box on his lap and explained, this is not for Nathan, but for Catherine. She is still splicing the body in Elvin Marcus Villa. She sent me a message at noon saying that she wanted to eat open-air's dessert. Locke suddenly realized, raised his thumb, and praised, full score Dad. David smiled, what did you say in Chinese last time, daughter slave? Locke nodded, yeep, daughter slave. He asked again, so we have to go to the Cortina community first? Yes. David quickly stopped smiling and warned with a stern face, boy, I warn you, don't get out of the car later, I can go in by myself, I will be out soon. Locke shouted dissatisfiedly. Come on, I already have a girlfriend, David said with disdain. When you were with Emily, weren't you also with Emma? Locke shut up tactfully, forget it, no explanation. Why does this old man always think that he will miss his daughter? 20 minutes later, Locke parked the car outside Alvin Marcus's villa, with a slight smile on his face. Although this matter was a bit rough, the result was good. The survivors were rescued, the criminals would be brought to justice, and the victims would be vindicated. After a while, Locke heard footsteps. He looked at the rearview mirror of the co-pilot seat and saw David coming back with a stern face. Did the father and daughter have a quarrel? Then he heard footsteps on the left and looked at the left rearview mirror. He saw Catherine Murphy slowly approaching in a white coat, warm and bright, like a lily stained with dew in the morning. Locke turned his head to look at David, who had already got on the passenger seat. Seeing that the old man had a stern face and didn't say anything, he rolled down the window. Catherine Murphy looked up at Locke. Her pretty and fair face was excited. Hi, Locke. Locke was a little puzzled. Hi, Catherine, what's wrong? Catherine Murphy nodded. I came here to tell you that you may have really encountered a ghost. Chapter 68. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the way to the hospital, Locke fell into self-doubt, looking a little serious. Damn, did he really see a ghost? But he was sure that what he said was all fabricated by him. How could it become true? Just now, Catherine Murphy told Locke that among the 5 corpses, one was a man, and his knee bones were not deformed like the knee bones of the other 4 women because of long-term kneeling and walking. It was judged that the male deceased was not abused. If he was not the abused party, then he was very likely the abuser. In other words, Alvin Marcus was not the only one who imprisoned women to play perverted games, he also had an accomplice. Later, I don't know what happened, Alvin Marcus killed this accomplice and buried him under the grass in the backyard. Catherine believed that the 2 ghosts, one man and one woman, that Locke saw should be one of this man and one of the 4 women. Locke sighed and shook his head with a smile. This is too coincidental. It became true after making up. He now knew how the training learning card came, so Catherine's reasoning was very likely true. David saw Locke sighing, and he didn't care about being angry. He was actually half believing and half doubting Locke's ghost story yesterday, but now he had to believe it, and asked with concern, do you want to arrange another exorcism for you? Locke shook his head and said, no, as you said, I am doing justice, I am helping them, they shouldn't bother me. Although he said so, he still didn't let it go in his heart. As a scavenger, he didn't believe in coincidences and accidents. Some things can't be explained just because you haven't found the reason and the logical connection behind it. 10 minutes later, Locke and his friends arrived at San Gabriel Hospital. Because the Cortina community is very close to San Gabriel Valley, Nathan was sent to San Gabriel Hospital at that time. Locke and David came to Nathan's ward with flowers and saw that this guy was having a hot relationship with a white female nurse. I don't know what Nathan said, but the nurse was so amused that she pushed him affectionately. I have to say that a man of Nathan's age, mature, rich, humorous and witty, is still very attractive to some women. This nurse doesn't look too old, about 27 or 28 years old, with blonde hair, a little fat, curvy, and freckles on her face. At first glance, she is the type with a lively and cheerful personality. David knocked on the door. Hi, did I disturb you? Nathan looked at David and Locke in surprise, and got off the bed to greet them. Wow, hi, David, Locke, thank you for coming to see me. Locke handed the flowers to the nurse and asked with concern, can you get out of bed? Nathan lifted his clothes, revealing his chest and abdomen with bruises, and smiled. It's just a little scary, but the injury is not serious. I want to be discharged early. David looked at him narrowly. Aren't you very happy here? Nathan blushed, and frankly introduced the nurse who was placing flowers to the two. This is Martha, and this is my colleague David and Locke. Martha greeted Locke and David enthusiastically, and did not stay for long, and soon left the ward to the three of them. David asked gossipingly, have you established a relationship? Nathan watched Martha leave, with tears in his eyes, and said in a springy manner, yes, we are already together. Although this sounds crazy, after all, we have only known each other for less than a day, but when love comes, no one can stop it. Locke couldn't help rolling his eyes. He was very familiar with this kind of scumbag talk. After Nathan finished his spring, he immediately thought of the business, looked at Locke with a serious face, and said gratefully, Locke, thank you for saving me again. But as soon as he finished speaking, he remembered that David was beside him, and hurriedly said, sorry, I should have fainted, I don't know who saved me. David, please ignore what I just said and pretend you didn't hear it. David interrupted him unhappily. Now the whole Wilshire knows that he did it, so there is no need to pretend. However, your previous confession was that you fainted, so you should continue to faint. Nathan turned his head to look at Locke. With a puzzled look on his face, Locke told him that he was employed by the Wilshire Police Department to track and protect him and Anna, so, protecting you and rescuing you is my job, don't take it too seriously. Nathan was not stupid, he knew there must be something behind it, otherwise Captain Davis would not have handled it that way. He shrugged. Anyway, I remember that you saved me twice. If you need me for anything in the future, please tell me. That he imitated Randy and hammered his chest, not wanting to touch the wound, and grimaced in pain. David laughed and said, dude, it looks like you have to stay in the hospital for a while longer. Locke also echoed, it would be cooler if there were three of us when we were discharged. Locke and David did not stay in the hospital for more than 20 minutes and left, because David did not drive today and Locke needed to take him home first. On the way, Locke thought David would ask about the inside story of his rescue of Anna and Nathan in Villa H-10-06, but the old man seemed to have no interest at all and did not ask a single question. Cheng is as steady as an old dog. No wonder this guy has been a frontline patrolman for more than 20 years and has nothing to do, so cowardly. David said enviously, I didn't expect that Nathan would be lucky enough to meet his love when he was hospitalized this time. David's wife had died of cervical cancer for 5 years, and Nathan was divorced in middle age, so he wanted to change his lifestyle and joined the LAPD. He was only a few years younger than David. Locke smiled and said, as long as you want, you can do it. David was silent for a few seconds, shrugged his shoulders, and pouted, forget it, I'm almost used to being alone, and Catherine doesn't want anyone to replace her mother. Locke laughed in his heart. This old man's heart should not be completely old yet. I don't know what he will do one day. When getting off the car, David did not close the door immediately. He held the door and his expression was restrained. Just as he was about to speak, Locke said first, I know, I won't provoke Catherine. David's expression stagnated, and he said with a smile, you kid can answer quickly, it's good to know, I don't want Catherine to be hurt. You are not a good match. Fine, I promise. Locke was speechless. He planned to be his son-in-law in the morning to repay him. What an old man who doesn't know the goods. With a step on the gas, leaving David far behind, Locke drove straight to Grand apartment, eager to put all those things that can't see the light into the storage space. After returning home, he put all the illegal drugs and cosmetics he had bought in the East Chinatown of San Gabriel Valley into the storage space, and he felt relieved instantly. The room was completely clean. In the future, he can disguise himself anytime and anywhere, and he will become more flexible. Locke suddenly remembered that doctor, who was called a thousand-faced man by the FBI. He didn't know how powerful this guy's disguise skills were. Then he sneaked into Suzuki Nami's room again. He tampered with the camera installed by Suzuki Nami. It was a very simple operation, just putting a photo of the room in front of the camera. In this way, there is no need to cut off the power of the entire floor every time you enter. If you do it too many times, it will attract people's attention. Locke skillfully opened the air outlet of the air conditioner, put the money, scar, and the military dagger directly into the space, and cleaned up all the traces of the air outlet. As for his traces in the room, the secret camera he installed, and the small device that blocked Suzuki Nami's camera, he planned to come and clean them up when it was quiet at night and convenient to cut off the power. Thinking that Suzuki Nami had helped him out this time, he would consider agreeing to her invitation to drink sake when she came back. Anyway, as long as he didn't go in too deep, it shouldn't be a big problem. Locke stood behind the door and listened for a while. He didn't hear any footsteps, so he turned the door and walked out calmly. He turned around and saw two familiar figures standing at the door of his room. 6 eyes met. Even Locke's psychological quality couldn't hold it. Damn, why did the FBI find this place and get caught red-handed? Chapter 69. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The atmosphere suddenly became a little weird, and it was Agent Liv who broke the weird scene. She stared at Locke with scrutiny and asked in confusion, "So, you actually live in that room? The information on the file is wrong." "No." Locke calmed down instantly, walked over calmly, opened the door, and made a gesture of invitation. "I live here, that's my friend's room, she went back to her country, I put some things in her place." That he was telling the truth, this was the way he thought of to deal with it instantly. Locke had long discovered that although Black Sauce Egg was not as powerful as Tom Williams, the psychopath, he was also a tough guy. So he had to deal with it wholeheartedly, from yesterday's rollover incident. Locke has realized that he is surrounded by intelligent and experienced police officers. If he thinks that others will believe him if he makes an excuse casually, then he is a fool. So, in the future, the main focus is sincerity, 80% true, 20% false. Even if there is a real rollover one day, Hollywood is his retreat. He always has a special complex for Hollywood, as if he has an unfulfilled wish. However, this black salted egg tortured a suspect to commit suicide last time, and he was able to come out to perform the task so quickly. I have to say, he is very bloody. Liv turned to look at the black salted egg, and Inspector Hunter nodded. Except for being a little surprised and guilty at the beginning, he did not find that Locke was lying. Inspector Hunter is a well-known interrogation expert of the FBI, and is good at analyzing micro-expressions. This is why he couldn't wait to interrogate the bodyguard of the doctor as soon as he caught him last time, just to find out that doctor, who had not run far away. The two followed Locke into the room, and Liv praised, "It's a nice house, very clean and tidy, no peculiar smell. It's hard to believe that you live alone, or you are a man. Tut tut, if I didn't know you." "It's just a little cleaner." Locke curled his lips, heard Liv's implication, took out 2 bottles of Evian from the refrigerator, and replied with a pun, "The room is now clean," and he is full of confidence. After the 3 of them sat down, Locke got straight to the point and asked, "What do you two want to talk to me about?" Black Boiled Egg Hunter stared at Locke with burning eyes and said with a smile, "I didn't expect that you are such a great marksman besides being able to lip-read and sketch. Sam Brown is not counted. The other 4 gunmen you shot dead are all elite veterans of the Army. They have participated in many Middle East wars. The one whose neck you broke was from the Rangers. I heard that the Army Criminal Investigation Command, CID, is going to investigate this case. After all, it involves the deaths of 4 veterans. Of course, they are not just because of these 4 people. LAPD back in the crackdown on the Copernicus organization, dozens of the people arrested were retired Army veterans." That he leaned forward slightly, with a strong sense of oppression, and said solemnly, "Locke, we came to you today to invite you again. With your ability, it is absolutely a waste to stay in LAPD. Join the FBI. The power of the FBI is not comparable to that of the LAPD. The entire United States is our law enforcement scope. Even the CID needs to respect our opinions." Locke's heart sank when he suddenly heard that the Army Criminal Investigation Command, CID, would intervene in this case, but his face did not show it at all. He showed a look of embarrassment and said sincerely, "Detective Hunter, thank you for your appreciation, but you should have checked my family background. Joining LAPD is just a temporary idea. My family does not support me to join the disciplined forces. Hunter was stunned. He thought that this time, with the coercion and inducement, with the name of the FBI, it should be easy to take Locke down. After all, Locke killed someone during his administrative leave, which is a very big handle. Liv decided to add fuel to the fire and reminded, Locke, once CID intervenes in this case, the court trial will become absolutely fair and just. You may not only fail to become an LAPD, but may even go to jail. Locke hesitated and said, I hope you two can keep my next words confidential, although you should be able to find out by yourself. Captain Davis decided to patrol with Nathan for the dignity of LAPD, taking great risks. Although LAPD cannot send people to follow and protect openly, you don't think we really have no precautions at all? Detective Hunter and Liv looked at each other and raised their eyebrows. So, you are the precaution? Liv asked puzzledly, why do you have to do it like this, hiding it? Locke did not answer, and spread his hands and made a look that you know what I mean. Detective Hunter curled his lips and said sarcastically, this is indeed something that only LAPD can do. Face is more important than the truth more important. Locke rolled his eyes in his heart, making it seem as if the FBI paid more attention to the truth. The two exchanged glances again, and Liv said, Locke, we came here today not only to invite you to join the FBI again, but also to ask you for help with something. Locke didn't want to offend the FBI, so he asked straightforwardly, what is it? Liv said, it's about the boss of the Copernicus organization. Locke deliberately interrupted her and asked, wait, didn't you say that this case would be handed over to the DHS, Department of Homeland Security? In Locke's opinion, the FBI has little chance of competing with the DHS for this case. In the United States, the only agency that can still challenge the DHS is probably the IRS, Internal Revenue Service. The FBI has always been the largest law enforcement agency in the United States, but since the 9/11 incident, the DHS came into being and merged more than 20 federal government agencies. Since its establishment, it has surpassed the FBI in one fell swoop and became the largest law enforcement agency in the United States. Now the FBI has to hold its nose in its hands. In terms of administrative level, the FBI is affiliated with the U.S. Department of Justice, and the DHS reports directly to the White House, and they are not at the same level. Inspector Hunter's expression suddenly became a little unnatural. No, who will be handed over the case has not been finally decided, so we want to try to get some firsthand. He motioned Liv to continue, and Liv said, Johnny Dyson, the boss of the Copernicus organization, escaped, and we suspect that he will find a doctor to help him with plastic surgery. Last time you discovered the work of the doctor, Harry Bellion, you already know his plastic surgery style, so we want you to look at Johnny Dyson's photos and try to draw his appearance after plastic surgery. Locke was confused. Damn it, even if he could, he wouldn't wade into this muddy water. Not to mention offending the doctor, he was more afraid of offending DHS. Locke exhaled and smiled bitterly. Did you make a mistake? The reason why I found Harry Bellion last time was because I read his lip language first and knew that he was a wanted criminal, so I compared him through the database. I didn't recognize him by his face. More importantly, I'm not a plastic surgeon, I just know how to sketch. He hesitated for a moment. He nodded and said, but your idea should be feasible. Plastic surgeons have their own styles. I suggest that you should find a professional plastic surgeon and show them the photos of Harry Bellion before and after plastic surgery, and then let them designate a plastic surgery plan for Johnny Dyson based on this style. Black Sauce Egg's eyes lit up and praised, good suggestion, it seems that we didn't come in vain. Locke stood at the door and watched Inspector Hunter and Liv leave. He returned to the room and called Anna Davis and told her what had just happened. After hearing this, Anna Davis smiled and said, Locke, it seems that I should promote you as soon as possible. The Detective Bureau and the FBI have invited you again and again. If you don't give you a raise, the LAPD will not be able to keep you. Don't worry, CID's involvement is just a normal procedure of the Army. This case involves Army veterans, but the case of the Copernicus organization is likely to be handed over to the FBI. The DHS is more targeted at external terrorist attacks. Gang crimes in the United States will still be handled by the FBI. Chapter 70. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, Locke came to the police station early in the morning and handed over the scar and military dagger to the evidence department. As for the burned hood, no one knew whether the gunman by the wall wore a hood, so the name of this item would not appear in the evidence list. Next, waiting for the court to go through the procedures, just in case, Marion has decided not to use the lawyer assistance provided by the police station, and will hire a criminal defense lawyer. David came over soon, and Locke drove out of the Wilshire police station in the patrol car. I haven't driven this classic car for a few days. I feel very familiar when I drive it on the street again. I immediately decided that I must personally make this classic car shine again someday. 7 Adam 15, start patrol. Copy. A sweet voice responded, and then another sentence came, welcome back, Locke. Thank you. Locke was very cautious this time and did not call the other person's name, because he really couldn't tell who the other person was. David was waiting to see the show, but he didn't expect Locke to not make a fool of himself this time. He curled his lips in disappointment. Did you apply for leave this afternoon? Locke nodded and said, well, tonight is family day. Todd is back from New York. We will go to Lubeck to see my grandpa's family tomorrow. I have to pick up the car in the afternoon. My F-150 Raptor has been modified, David hurriedly said. Give my regards to Todd and Marion. After Anna Davis assigned the most experienced patrolman of the Wilshire Police Department to Locke as a trainee instructor, Lee Bow and Marion specially invited David to dinner. There are also social etiquette in the United States. Thank you, I will. Locke thought of something. By the way, can you say hello to Bearded Gary? After picking up the car, I want to go to his store to buy a Remington M700P. Time is a bit tight, please ask him to prepare it first. David asked puzzledly, why did you buy a sniper rifle? Locke shrugged, it's a tradition of the Locke family, shooting wolf competitions. I always came in last before. This time I will definitely surprise everyone. David smiled meaningfully. You have already surprised everyone. Locke looked calm and asked, have you never had this experience? Suddenly, it seemed like I had opened my mind. I could shoot wherever I pointed. Marion said that I might have awakened a firearm gene. When my grandfather Jester Locke was young, he was a well-known sharpshooter in Texas, and Marion is also a good shooter. David thought for a moment and nodded. I have it too. Before I met Catherine's mother, I was not good at that. Not long after being with him, I figured out a lot of positions. Locke gave a middle finger directly and joked, David, you should find a partner as soon as possible. Look at Nathan, the man who has been nourished by love is completely different. You are still young. David shook his head. I can't move out and leave Catherine alone. Catherine is not used to having a strange woman at home. That's it. Locke asked curiously, then how do you solve your physiological needs? You won't find a call girl, right? David raised his middle finger and replied unhappily, boy, are you doubting my charm? Locke understood immediately and knew that David, this old man, must have an old lover and a place to communicate. This guy is really hidden. Just when he wanted to gossip, the radio rang. At the east gate of Monterey Park, someone called the police and said they were robbed. The robber has been controlled. 7 Adam 15, copy. Locke glanced at the map, stepped on the accelerator, and the car turned smoothly and drove towards Monterey Park. David muttered, why do I feel that you are getting more and more comfortable driving? Locke grinned and said, please call me the Los Angeles god of cars in the future, thank you. David gave him a middle finger and ignored him. Soon Locke and his friends arrived at the east gate of Monterey Park and saw the two people who were entangled. The novel was taken from the Rawlah's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. A middle-aged white man, dressed very ordinary, was obviously from the lower class. The other was a young black woman, also very ordinary, but dressed better than the white man, and should have been in college. There were a bunch of onlookers next to the two, and some even took out their phones to shoot TikTok. Locke read the lip language of the two and knew that the white man was the reporter. The young black man was tightly held by him and said that she robbed his money. Arrived at the scene, the reporter is IC-1, the suspect is IC-2, code 4A, IC-1 refers to white people, IC-2 refers to black people, and code 4A means no support is needed, the suspect is at the scene. Locke reported the situation at the scene to the park center, and then got off the car with David. David walked in front, and Locke lagged behind 3 steps, observing the crowd around him to see if there was anyone, whether there is any danger. His hand is on the Glock G19 at his waist from beginning to end. David showed his police badge and asked, "What's the situation?" The white man immediately showed the black leather wallet in his hand and said loudly, "Officer, this is my wallet. There are $500 in it, but now there are only $200 left. She stole $300 from me. Fuck, I didn't steal your money." The black woman cursed the man and defended herself. "I saw a wallet on the ground and picked it up. This bastard rushed over and asked me if I picked up the wallet and said that the wallet was his. I saw that he seemed very anxious, so I gave him the wallet. I didn't expect him to frame me for stealing his money. I didn't even open the wallet." At this time, Locke had finished observing the surroundings and walked over. He had just analyzed the micro-expressions and knew that the white man was bluffing and deceiving people, because the black girl's skin was too dark, he couldn't read her expression. This girl was really black. It is rare to see such black people in Los Angeles. "They are like charcoal," Locke asked the white man. "Sir, can you show me your wallet?" The white man said calmly, "Of course, officer, you must check it carefully and get my money back." Locke checked the wallet and found that besides $200, there were also several supermarket coupons, but not even a bank card. He asked, "There is no ID in this wallet. How do you prove that this wallet is yours?" The white man was startled and said anxiously, "Officer, this is my wallet. Look carefully." "I am white and she is black," Locke said coldly. "Sir, I have to warn you that Los Angeles opposes any form of racial discrimination. Please be careful with your words." The white man shrugged. "Okay, I will pay attention." Locke asked again, "Are you sure there are $500 in your wallet?" The white man said firmly, "Of course, I am sure." Locke nodded. "Okay, there are $500 in your wallet, and there are only $200 in this wallet, which means that this wallet is not yours." The white man was shocked and cursed. "What the hell are you talking about?" Locke's eyes turned cold and stared at the white man coldly. The white man shuddered and was so scared that he dared not say a word immediately. "Just kidding, in 2 weeks, there were 8 lives lost in his hands." This look was murderous. He handed the wallet to the black girl. "Ma'am, you can keep the wallet until the owner is found, or you can hand it over to the LAPD. The black girl took the wallet in a daze and gave the white man a sly smile. "Then I'll keep it first." "Sir, can I leave?" Locke nodded. "Of course." The black girl looked at Locke gratefully, showing a mouthful of white teeth. "Sir, thank you for your impartial law enforcement. Can I have your phone number?" Locke replied with a serious face, "Sorry, I can't provide my phone number." The black girl shrugged and left with an unhappy look on her face. When the white man saw the black woman was about to leave, he subconsciously wanted to stop her, but Locke stopped him. "Sir, do you want to go back to the police station with me and describe what your wallet looks like?" The white man stared at Locke angrily. "No need." Locke immediately reported the results of the handling to the Parker Center, and said to the white man who was still staring at him angrily, "Sir, if you want to complain about me, I can tell you my police number." The white man said coldly, "I will." Locke copied the police number information to him, and then followed David back to the car. After getting in the car, David cried and laughed and said, "Boy, your handling of this case is too weird. Although the logic sounds fine, that guy will definitely complain about you." Locke started the car and looked indifferent. "Let him complain if he wants to. I've been too high profile recently." David looked puzzled. Locke shrugged. "You won't understand even if I tell you. This is the ancient wisdom of China.